So in this tutorial, we're going to actually make a very simple 3D eye. So make sure that you start off with a brand new file. And when the new file starts in Nomad Sculpt, it is a sphere. But we can go ahead and go to the little box that has like three little boxes on the top. And we're going to press the eyeball so we can hide it. And we're going to add a cylinder. So the cylinder is going to be what I'm going to use for the walls of the eye, specifically a 3D eye. So there are three dots, three green dots, a top one, a middle one, and a bottom one. If you grab the top one and you start squishing it down, then you can control the height of your eye. You don't need the height of the eye to be very tall because the way the 3D eyes work, it doesn't really matter like how tall or how thin. If it's taller, that means the eye is going to be a lot more inset, which creates more shadows. So I'm going to keep this one, about right there. Well, once we have the size that we like, then we're going to go back up to the top where you see the word hole that looks like a donut, and we click on it. And it creates an automatic hole. So we're going to use this setting to create like the perimeter of the eye itself. The orange makes the whole eye larger, and the blue makes the cutout thinner or thicker. So we don't have to go crazy thick. You can pick wherever you want to go. Let's go ahead and stop it right there. And once we're happy with everything, we're going to go back up to the top where you see mirror and validate, and we're going to hit validate. Once that's been validated, this is an object that can be worked on. So we want to create the back of the eye right now, since we just have like this perfect circle with a cutout in the middle, well, a perfect cylinder. So we're going to go ahead and do it this way. We're going to create another object. We're going to hit add. And we can do it in a variety of ways. We can go ahead and do it with another sphere, which is usually, not a sphere. This is how you delete. We're going to go ahead and do it with a cylinder because it's going to fit perfectly inside. And then we're going to flatten it because it's going to be the back of our eye. And you can already kind of tell what I'm doing here. So this one fits perfectly in there. And we're going to use it as a backer. So you can see it's right there. And I can make this even thinner if I wanted to. Once I'm pretty happy with the thickness, and this is all kind of like based on what you like. Let's go ahead and put it right there. We're going to hit validate. And now we have these two pieces together. And right now it's just pretty much a cylinder with a bottom. But these pieces are not joined. So if I were to do this, I can hide the two pieces, and that's okay. So we don't have to join them together right now. We want to go ahead and make a cutout in the middle. So this would be the area where you want to see. Most of my 3D eyes, I tend to do the cutout right in the middle of the eye. You can do it anywhere, really. If you rather have it a little bit more offset to the side, that's totally fine as well. So there is a variety of ways of doing it. You can go ahead and make sure that you use your finger and you click on which one you want to work on. See, I'm going back and forth. See which one. So as long as it's glowing in purple, you know that that is the one that you have picked. So we're picking the one that's the backer. And we're going to use the top view. So it's like the perfect top view, not bottom, just top. And over here on the side where you have all your tools, there is a tool called trim. This is probably the easiest way to do this. We're going to go to the left and there is an ellipse that you can cut out. You can cut out or you can lasso it. You can do whatever you want. But if you want to do with the ellipse, you're going to cut out a circle or an oval out of it. So you want it like that. If you want it a little bit off center, you hit it and then you hit view on the side so you can actually rotate it. You can see that the eye's already been cut out. But the one thing that I find out doing it this way, it's a little complicated for me to control where I want the actual cutout. So we're going to press undo here on the bottom. Oops. And I'm going to do it the other way that I like to do it, which I find really, really easy to control. So I'm going to go back up here to the top. We're going to go back to add, and we're going to do another cylinder. We're going to use this cylinder to create the pupil that I want because I want to keep it circular. So I'm going to use the gizmo and we're going to move it down, and you want to use it as a cutout. You can go ahead and, of course, if you wanted to make this more of a cylinder, you definitely can. You just change the shape, but we're going to do a perfect circle cutout. So this one, let's say we are very happy where it is. We're going to hit validate. And now we have this kind of weird intersection. But what we want to do is see where the cylinder is and where the backer is. So that's the cylinder and that's the backer. So we're going to go ahead and hide the walls because we're not using them at the moment. We just want to use these two pieces, the cylinder cutout and the backer. So the cylinder is going to be used to cut out where you want to see. And this is how you create a Boolean effect in Nomad Sculpt. So I do this in ZBrush and it actually has a Boolean button. Here you do it a little bit different. So the one object that you want to use as a cutout, you want to actually make it like transparent in a way, like you're gonna put the little eye in like shutdown mode so it shows it in that little crosshatch look. And you're going to pick the piece that you wanted to cut out of, but you're going to leave the eye open. What the program is going to see is when you voxel merge these two, that it's going to create a cutout. So we're going to go to voxel, and this is important. The resolution, the higher it is, the nicer the cut is going to be. So let's go ahead and make it a little bit higher cut. And if you want to keep sharp edges, you can. So we can go ahead and click on that and see how it does it. And then we're going to do voxel merge. And it creates a very, very nice cutout for the eye, as you can see right there. So we can go ahead and open up the walls, and all of a sudden we have a perfectly circular, cutout for a 3D eye. But some people like the walls on the side being a little bit cleaner, and that's totally fine. So what we're going to do is we're going to merge this one and this one. So you grab both, you make sure you click on both of them, and we're going to do voxel merge again, and then we're going to, raise the resolution. Just be careful if you have an older iPad because it will freak out a little bit with this, so just save and save a lot. And we're going to keep doing that. You can see how moving it back and forth, the checkerboard gets a little bit denser, which means the mesh is going to be denser and you'll be able to do more high quality edits on it. So go ahead and move it and then hit voxel merge. So right now it doesn't look like much of anything has happened, but they're actually merged and you can tell that they're one piece now. So this is one object. When you do voxel merge, all the intersecting geometry is no longer a problem. So what you can do is you can grab the smooth button, which is right here on the right, and you can go ahead and go in and you can start smoothing where the eye joins. And of course you can raise the radius and you can go around and you can go ahead and smooth it. And then this way you can get rid of the area where it connects to the the outer walls. Some people don't like that hard cut, so this is a very easy way to blend those two together. So you just kind of go, back and forth, clean it up, and this can be pretty quick. So just kind of go in a circle until you're pretty happy with the look. And I'm just using an Apple Pencil doing all this sculpting because it's just easier than your finger. So definitely recommend the iPads with the Apple Pencil to do any of this work. It will save your skin from, getting raw from doing this sort of movement. So just kind of go around it in a circle, around it. And You can check your wire and see how how dense the mesh is. And of course, if you want to make this even cleaner, you can subdivide this mesh a couple of times until you have a really nice, smooth look. But that, of course, is on you. Some people don't mind it having a little bit of choppiness on the walls. Other people want these eyes to be like perfectly clean, and that's just a preference more than anything. So we're going to go in here. So right next to the three boxes, there's the one that looks like a bunch of little boxes stacked together, which is multi-res. You can go ahead and hit subdivide if you want this at a higher level. So let's hit subdivide, subdivide again, and now this is going to be pretty mesh. A pretty dense mesh, and you can see it right there. But it is a very high quality mesh, and you can make a very clean eye this way. So that is just one of the very quick ways of doing a 3D eye. So we're going to make a different style of 3D eye this way. Instead of just doing like the perfect circles, we're going to give this one a little bit more styling and then maybe even make the pupil a different shape. So we're going to go ahead and add the cylinder, and we are going to create the hole for it by clicking hole. And we're actually going to lower this a little bit, but we're going to give it some space here in the back because we're going to be doing some cuts. It's going to be a little different, and we're going to make this thinner, and I can make it a little bit thinner there, but you'll see why I'm doing this right there. And we're going to go ahead and validate it. So we're going to create the backer by creating another cylinder. This is pretty much the same way that we did it before. That way we can cut this out later. So right now it's kind of the same thing that we were doing previously, but we're going to hit validate. So we're going to mess with the walls first because we want to change the shape of the walls. So we are going to hide the backer, and we're just going to work with the walls. So we're going to go to the gizmo on the top, make sure we hit top, and we're going to use the drag tool. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger, and then we're going to just, drag it a little bit. So, because it's a 3D object, it's going to drag it kind of like wherever you are pulling, so just kind of be careful. It's okay if it's like deforming the shape on the bottom, but we can, start altering the shape all around. So you might be wondering, like, well, why am I making it thinner, let's say on the bottom, then on the top, or any which way? It just depends. So let's say we want it thinner at the front, but we want it thicker at the end. It just depends on how you're going to angle those eyes. But right now this looks kind of messy and just like, wow, what's going on? How are we going to get this to look okay? There are a bunch of ways to do this, of course, never just one way. And this is just kind of a way that works for me. So let's move this, and you're just kind of moving it around, creating, creating the shape that you want. So we open it like that. So this is where I use the Boolean tool a lot. Well, when I join two pieces together and I use them pretty much as cutouts. So we had created that cylinder on the bottom, but we're going to open it, and it no longer fits on the bottom, and that is okay. So we're going to use the gizmo tool, and we're going to make this bigger. Well, not that one. We're going to choose the correct one, and we're going to make it bigger. And that's okay if it passes this. That's fine. So we're also going to make it thicker because we're going to use this as a cutout. So you can kind of see, all right, that would work. And I can even say, let's do it from the front, tilt it, Actually, let's do it from the side, right? Pick the angle where you want it to go. So we want to do it like this. And we're going to use this bottom to cut out the top. It looks really weird, but you'll see what I'm talking about. And then we're also going to use that bottom. We're going to duplicate it, clone it, and then we're going to move it to the top. So we're going to make a sandwich. And we're going to use this to cut out the pieces and keep them nice and straight, which is what works really well for this. So let's do it like this. That cylinder, so these two cylinders are the ones that we actually want to turn the little eyes off. But then we're going to join all these pieces together, and then we're going to voxel merge, and this is going to change the look of this eye. Voxel, pump that resolution up, and all of a sudden we have this cut out nicely. But you can tell that it's a little chunky in areas, so let's go back, and we want to voxel merge even higher. Voxel merge, and it looks a bit better now. So if we don't like that, let's go back and always double check if sharp edges wasn't kept, and we want to do sharp edges to keep. And much, much, much nicer. So now all of a sudden you have a much cleaner eyeball. But of course you can change this to any shape you want. I'm just quickly showing how you can make this a shape. So we want to make a backer for this. So we're going to create another shape. Usually what I do with this one is I create a box. And we're going to, twist this box around. We're going to make it bigger. We're going to make it thinner. And then that's what's going to be our backer. But you're probably wondering, like, well, that box has a bunch of weird cutouts on the side, and how am I going to use it like that? It's actually not super hard to do this, so I will explain. So right now, this box is right here, and we want to be able to cut out the surrounding area. So this is just one of the many ways of doing this. So we can go ahead and validate it, and that's the box. We're going to go ahead and make a duplicate just in case something messes up too. This box, oops, actually I don't need to make a duplicate of that just yet. We're going to make a duplicate of the surrounding wall area for the eyes, and then we are going to hide the original one. We're going to use this one to cut into the box, because this way it's going to be really easy to tell what we're going to use, and we can actually move it. Oops, we don't have to move it down yet. Let's go ahead and try to voxel and see if it works this way. So it creates a cutout right there, but this cutout is only partially cut out, so this is what we're going to do instead. With this program, what I do is a lot of playing back and forth, and trying to see what works best for me. So let's do it like this. Let's use it to, let's go ahead and make this a little thinner. We're going to use it to fully cut it out. But we're going to actually raise the box instead. And make it thinner, because it doesn't need to be very thick, since it's the backer for the eye. There you go. And we're going to go ahead and make that backer transparent. Actually, make the cylinder, which is the surrounding wall transparent, and we're going to use it to cut into the box. So we're going to go ahead voxel. And if you want to, like, pump that resolution up a bit, it's fine too. Cut it. So now we have that cut out, and this actually makes it really easy to cut out the surrounding areas, which is pretty fun actually, because I like doing this. There are other ways to do this, but this is just one of the ways that I like to use. So we can use a trim tool, and we use the lasso, and we can actually, go around and cut out bits and pieces of this. And you only keep the area that you want, which is the middle, because that's going to be your backer for the eye. So I do this in parts because it's just easier. You can do like one big swoop and get rid of it too. There, I missed it a bit, so let me get a little bit closer, maybe from a different angle. But this is a really, really easy way to create a backer that is not like your typical just a circular shape. Then, zoom in and make sure that you're getting even the tiniest bits. I accidentally grabbed a bit of something I didn't need there. And that's pretty much it. So now you have a backer piece that is going to fit the walls. So you can tell that it's kind of bouncing out there a little bit because I actually moved this around. So we're going to move things a bit. We're going to go to the gizmo. We're just going to move this one around. And it's okay if this one doesn't fit like perfectly, or it seems a bit off because it looks like I tilted it a little bit. We can still manage to fix this, no problem at all. Just gonna, move it around. This is why I was talking about wanting to make the eye a little bit taller, and then that way you have more space for error. And because I tilted one side, this is just to show you what happens when that happens and how to fix it. So because the bottom isn't fitting perfectly with the top, we're going to go ahead and join these two, but we're not just going to hit join, which is up there, because that means the intersecting geometry would still be in the way. We want to go ahead and voxel merge them anyways. And then, raise it, because you want it nice and clean, and voxel merge. So now you can tell that, see, there's like, it kind of looks like junk in some areas back there. Let's go ahead and go back. Oops, and let's go back again. Okay, let's go to voxel merge, and we're going to pump that resolution up. So that is a dense mesh, which means it is it's going to be rough on your iPad if you're not ready for this. And we want to flatten that area on the bottom. You can do it a super simple way, which is pretty much using another object to cut into it, which is what I do all the time. Absolutely nothing wrong doing it this way. Go ahead and do that. This way, if you're ever like unsure if it's flat, like really flat, so I like to do it this way. So I'm using that backer to cut into it. So we're going to validate it. Let's see. So now we are going to grab these two. But before I grab them, I want to make the box transparent eye, and I'm going to join it with the top one, and we're going to voxel merge it again, raise your resolution, cut into it, and now we can see a problem because I accidentally cut too far into that. So that's okay. We are going to, oops, we're going to actually uncheck both of them. I'm going to grab the box and we're going to lower that box a bit. Because that just means that that box was way too high in there. And that's okay. So you just kind of move stuff around and then try it again. If it fails, that's okay. We just move it around again. So voxel, voxel merge, and it looks like it worked out just fine. Just made it kind of ugly right there, but that's not a big deal because that is the back. Oops. And you wouldn't see that anyways, but you can go ahead and move that box around if you wanted a little bit better cut. So we're back at the top, and let's say we wanted to, insert, cut out a pupil that's maybe a little bit more oval. Let's go ahead and rotate this. And we're going to resize it. And let's say we want it off-centered a little bit. We definitely can. And because the eye wasn't totally flat, how I was working on it, we can rotate this a little bit. And then we can create a cutout. So let's go ahead and, actually let's make this a little smaller, get a little bit wider, a little bit taller. And it's off-centered this time, since I've seen a couple people do the off-centered eye, which there's absolutely nothing wrong with doing an off-centered 3D eye. That's a preference. Like I said, I like doing it more in the middle, but you can do it off to the side a little bit and it's fine. And you can make that transparent since we're going to use it to cut into the main object. If you want, it's easier to name these instead of just, cylinder, 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 and then that way you get confused. So make sure you name them so it's less confusing for you. And we're going to go ahead and voxel merge this. Raise the resolution. And there you go. You have a totally differently shaped eye. Of course, you can go in here and do what I was doing with the other one, where you can go in and smooth the whole area, smooth up here too, so you don't get any of the lines, so it doesn't look like it's a low-res print. You can also just, bump up the resolution. There's a bunch of ways to do it, but right now what I'm doing is I'm going with the smooth tool and just around the edges and cleaning it up. This is a very, very easy way to create a clean eye, especially cleaning up the walls, just using the smooth tool. So this is probably a pretty quick way of doing 3D eyes. And you're not restricted to, of course, just keeping the eyes cylindrical or circular or anything like that, or oval. You can do whatever shape you want. So I've seen some people get really creative with the shapes. So just to show you what I'm talking about, if you just wanted to cut out, let's say, a little area right here, you could even use the lasso tool. As I've seen some people do something like this, they wanted a cutout for their eye, you totally can. And that is just with the trim tool. And if you wanted to clean that little back area, if this bothers you, of course you can go in and smooth it out. And if you have any questions, because these are only going to be on Patreon, make sure that you ask, and that way I can create videos based on questions that anybody on Patreon has. So hopefully this has been useful, and I will be doing different sections for this. So I will do another one where it goes over how to make the eyelids for it. I'm going to go after every aspect on making a suit head. We'll do noses, we'll do a whole head, we'll do all sorts of different things. So hopefully this helped, and just stay tuned for the next tutorial. Thank you.